Welcome back, everyone. This is the FloTrack Podcast. Happy Monday. I'm Kevin. He's Gordon. FloTrack Podcast at gmail.com. The email address. Write in if you want to participate and guess my PR, internet coach, or just send us a message. Maybe kick of the week. Maybe you got a nominee. Maybe you just crushed it at your district meet, your regional meet, your state meet. You want to get that submitted for us. I recapped Birmingham Diamond League on Saturday. So if you want a snap reaction to that meet, you can check it out. It's on YouTube or on the site or wherever you listen to podcasts. Gordon, how are you doing today?
I would like to apologize to you, to Colt, and to the FloTrack audience because I was missing in action on the Saturday morning pod. Not only did I miss the podcast, but I missed the entire meet. I know we talked about a little bit what I was doing on Friday morning, what I ended up doing Friday night. So I had a little too much fun on Friday, and I overslept on Saturday. So I apologize to everyone. But I looked at the results. I didn't miss too much. I mean, Trayvon got DQ'd. You know, it was
Bummer.
Birmingham. Sometimes they don't really give you that great of a meet. Sometimes maybe it's the weather. I don't know, but I was upset. But it's not the end of the world. So I apologize for not being there for the people, and I apologize.
Did you listen to the pod? Be honest.
I listened to the first 1 minute.
Okay. Because starting on
Because
minute two,
I wanted to see if you would
just did
shit
an
on
impression
me.
of you.
I wanted to see if you would
Cole
shit
just
on
did an
me.
impression of you the last 28 minutes.
Oh, he did?
Because we know producer Colt doesn't know much about track, but professional improvisational comedian was able to just come up with some amazing takes on the fly and do your voice down to a T. Yeah, it was very surprising. I was very excited about it. So good job, Cole. Way to go. Talked about weather. Talk about bad weather. I think that's been a theme of the 2022 season so far. But Saturday morning, we found out, some of the names of the start lists of, I guess, like maybe Friday night into Saturday morning of this meet in Florida, Duval County ATL meet that featured. Well, on the start list, there was Aaron Knight, and there was Holloway, there was Sha'Carri Richardson, there was Michael Norman. There's a lot of big names. Many of them scratched because of the numerous weather delays, but the women's 100 stayed largely intact from what we saw. And we had a lot of big names there. There were, again, weather delays. They were supposed to do heats and then finals, which they sort of ended up doing. I know there was a lot of discussion about changing the direction of the 100 because the weather was so bad. But the end result here, we got to see the 2022 debut of Sha'Carri Richardson. I know I was more optimistic about seeing her before USA's than you were. I think last week you said 20%. Turned out to be 100%, Gordon. She finished behind Hobbs, Brown, and Terry in that first running of the 100, ran 11:37. It was into a 1.5, a lot of rain, and then came back later and then ran faster, 11:27 with a minus 0.1. She beat Terry. Some of the whole field didn't make it to the second running of the race. But what did you think about Richardson's debut? There's a lot going on in this meet.
Yeah, it was. You want to take something from it, but at the end of the day, you really can't. I mean, you look at this screenshot of the track. It was pouring rain. They had no lights at the track. It was a lightless, windy, wet 100 meters that was delayed too. Like there was like an hour-ish plus delay. So there's delays on your body running the
Yeah.
race. So the times were bad across the board for everyone. I guess you could look at Sha'Carri's result and compare it to like who she beat and who she lost to. Losing to Hobbs and Brown, that's not the end of the world because Hobbs and Brown is running extremely well this year, and Hobbs is been consistently good in the 100. And she did beat Terry after losing to her, and Terry is, she's a U.S. finalist caliber runner. She
Yeah.
beat Mary Beth St. Price, who ran well indoors in the 60. So there was a couple good wins, and there was a couple like not too bad losses. But it definitely was not a watch out world, Sha'Carri's back type performance, right? It wasn't like she goes out there and smokes everyone by 0.1. and runs like
Mhm.
11-1 while everyone else is running 11-2s and threes.
Yeah.
But, you know, Sha'Carri still was, celebrating before the finish line, having a good old
Mhm.
time. And at the end of the day, when I look at these results, it's going to be really hard for me to really take anything from it because of the conditions and the situation.
Yeah. I likened it to last year. Remember when they went to Gateshead and she ran like 11-4 and got second? That was a little different though, because she still got second and beat some big names there. But when the weather goes sideways like that, it can yield some unpredictability. I mean, the main thing, she's healthy. The second race looked better than the first race. So if you're looking for silver linings, those are a couple to take from them. But the first race, I mean, she got left in the blocks on that first race. I mean, that was all on the start, really. But last year runs 11-0 and then 10-72 in her first race in Miramar, then Mount Sac 10-74, then 10-77 into a 1.2. But the number that you remember in those early season races, even going back to 2020, is the number one. Like, she was winning. So even if you just put the times aside because weather and tracks can be crazy, she was able to win and churn out victory after victory. But it could be a situation where this is where she's at right now. She's mixing it up with US finalists. She's in a position to make the team. I mean, I know that's not what people want to hear. People want to hear world record and gold medals, but it could be that this year's more about getting on the team and getting championship experience. You're shaking your
Are,
head.
are we talking world record in gold medals right now? I feel like
I said
that
people
was
are.
that was like post Olympic trials. That was the thought. I feel like it's been almost a year since then, and the thoughts
I'm
of
just saying she gets compared to
gold and
that
world
standard.
records. Yeah, well,
She
it's
gets
because
compared
it's
to that standard.
fun. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because we live in like a very one and zeros society where it's like you're either the greatest of all time or you're trash.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's something in between. And that's why I think it's interesting. It's like, all right, she's still only 22. I know people don't want to hear this because they want to go all or nothing here, but it could just be she has a solid season. It's not as good as last year's season. And then she gets, she still has a lot of career in front of her. And then she gets back on the path of running 10-8s and 10-7s again. I mean, she's already had a lot. If you look at it, wins NCAA's, runs the 1075, but then USA's didn't go well that year, you know? Then she gets going again 2020 into 2021, but then the suspension comes and then the back half of 2021 wasn't as good as the first half of 2021. Like she goes up and down like this. So you could counter out after this, or you could say like this is just the type of runner that she is, and we've seen how good her potential is, and perhaps she can get it back. And the most important thing is that she's running in these meets. I want to
I
ask you though,
think,
moving
yeah.
forward. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to
Sorry.
say one last thing. The weather in this race makes it really extremely almost borderline impossible to really take any thought from it. Because even losing, I know like well a win she could have had wins. There's just that mental factor of like no one gives a fuck about this race because it's windy and rain and it's cold and
Sure.
all wet and all this stuff. So like it's just anyway. Continue.
What I was going to ask, and this task is more difficult because of the conditions at this race, though. But what is your expectation for her the rest of the season? You know, assuming she runs the 100 at pre, don't know who else is going to be in that race. You look at who's on the 200 start list, and there's a lot of big names in the 200, which I'm guessing would take some of the firepower out of the 100. But maybe Thompson-Herah is in there. I'm not sure, but short term and over the next, from now up until USA's and beyond, what's your expectation for her, or are you still just trying to figure that out because this was an inconclusive result?
So you asking me to predict Sha'Carri's next race, time and race and place, location and time.
Well, it's hard to
So
pick place when you don't know who she's running against,
yeah,
but
well, first there's a good chance it's going to be pre, which would be we're less than 7 days away from that,
yeah.
and they haven't announced the 100. But there also is a chance that Sha'Carri could be like, I don't want to do it after this Duval meet. But I think she will. I think she will run pre. So that's my first prediction. And then my second prediction as for the time, I think she's going to run like 11:0 something. And I think she will get top 3 in whatever the field is.
Mm.
I think she'll improve, but it won't be like bam. And I think she might just have like a low key build up. I'm
Mhm.
not willing to. Yeah, I think she's set up for an 11:0 and a top 3 finish at pre.
So here's
Provided,
who's in the two.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
assuming Elaine Thompson-Herah would be in it and she would win, and then I'm
Mhm.
assuming some American would also be in it and get second, and then Sha'Carri would get third.
So
That's the list.
here's who's in the 200 because that's been announced. Bernie Brown, Desiree Bryant, Tamara Clark, Fraser Price, Kambunji, Miller Weibo, Prandini, Strahan, and Sturgis. So you could have Thompson Hurrah, you could have Sharika Jackson, you could have Dina Asher Smith in that field. If she runs that place that you say she could run, I think that'd be big for her. And man, what a difference. Well, less than a year makes because Pre was later last year. But again, rightly or wrongly, the expectation was she was going to come into that meet after the suspension and go toe to toe with Thompson Hurrah and Fraser Price and Jackson. And I said at the time, that's asking too much based on that season. Now I think the expectations are a little bit more realistic to where if she's in the mix there, you have to feel good about her chances. Because I think the goal isn't the goal just make the team? At this point.
Yeah.
That's like a reasonable, like that's not underselling it, that's not overselling it. There's a big group of American women around that same sort of time. If she can run 10-9, which seems to be within her range, she can make the team. That seems to be like a realistic target for the next month.
All I know is there's a good chance when you're listening to this pod, either later today or tomorrow morning on
They've already announced the
Spotify or
100.
on YouTube or wherever, we're going to be talking about a race that has already been announced and
Mhm.
whether she's in it or not. So, but I think she'll be in it and I think she'll run 11:0 and I think she'll finish top 3. You, what do you think her performance and time of her next race will be?
I mean, not knowing the field is tough, but if it's going to be the people that I said, yeah, I could see a fourth. I think she might. I mean, would see if she runs 10.99, she's going to run faster. She's going to place faster than fourth, higher than fourth, I would think, right? Right? With
Yeah.
that field, you'd guess, unless it's just exceedingly fast. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a high 10 just because of how crazy and crappy that weather was. So I'll go under on the time from your line. That's what I'll do.
Got it.
We'll do a preview of we're gonna do a preview starting Wednesday and then Friday as well too. So we'll have plenty more time
So
to
this was the
discuss.
preview.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, this was the
But hey,
preview.
great to see her out there though. I was excited to see her out there. And I think most people are, even people who actively cheer against her. It's like how many people in track and field um, garner this much opinion and attention from people.
You know who wasn't out there?
Mm.
Grant Holloway.
They're always not out there. Um, Gordon, should we be worried about Grant Holloway?
Maybe. Because if you look at coming off of indoors, he was the
Good
guy.
guy.
Obviously, hadn't lost in like since. There's been children who have been around shorter times than Grant Holloway losing a 60-meter dash indoors. But he scratched Bermuda because he didn't want to run into a headwind. He went to
Hmm.
Bermuda, but then scratched it. He scratched Jacksonville because of weather, I'm assuming. He's only run one hurdle. No, he's run 10 hurdles, but one time. It was on
He
April
hurdled
30th.
once and then just pieced out.
Then
Just
just
ran on the infield the other 90
veered
meters.
left and he was out.
I'm out.
No, end of April, he ran at the LSU meet. He ran 13:3. He won the race, but it wasn't anything that crazy. But when you look
Yeah.
at descending order list right now. He has the 16th fastest time in the world in the hurdles.
Yeah.
He's fifth in the US in the hurdles. And you look at the rest of the world, like notably in America, you got Trey Cunningham running 13 ones. You got Devin Allen running 13 ones. Like those are two really good guys. Now, again, Holloway, he has the bye. It's gonna be fine. Like, but you know, when's the last? I mean, Grant Holloway was the guy who lost at the Olympics, and now the person he lost to, Hansel Parchment, has the best time in the world. And there's a young guy
Mhm.
in Cunningham out of the same state
Yeah.
as Florida as Holloway, who's running well. Might break his collegiate record this year, maybe. Who knows? And then
Yeah.
Devin Allen, he's the football star trying to go for the double double, making a NFL team and winning world gold. So I just think there's the 100 meter, the 110-meter field is not waiting for Grant Holloway. They'll be like, all right, we're going to go off and do our
True.
own thing, and we're going to continue to improve and get better. Have the younger generation, like the Cunninghams, come in and run well. They're not waiting for Holloway to start
Yeah.
the start the train.
Yeah. Parchment's been good the last couple races. He's a reigning gold medalist. To borrow a line though from Kenny Smith last night on Inside the NBA, Grant Holloway, his elevator goes to 11. His ceiling is just so much higher than everybody else at this point. So I'm not worried about him. Am I disappointed they didn't run these two races? Yes. Do I understand why? Sort of. Is it concerning that he's only, what do you say, 16th best time?
Yeah,
I mean, not really, because he's got the bye even. I think he's just got plenty of time to get sharp. And yeah, you're right. They're not waiting for him and they're putting out these consistent times. But I truly think Holloway's not a 12-7 guy. I truly think that he's a 12-7 guy in this race. And we saw how good he was indoors when he ran a series of races together. So I think he can be a 12-7 guy again. So I think you're a little bit more worried than I am. But I mean, you got more of a history with Grant. You've
I
been
know.
covering him forever.
And
So
maybe this will get him motivated. And maybe at the end of the day, he's going to screenshot this tweet when we post a clip of this. And he's going to
yeah.
take a picture of the screenshot. He's going to be drinking some wine. And it's going to be right after he broke the world record in Eugene. Like, that's probably what's going to
Mhm.
happen. But until that happens, I will, um, you know, I'll hold on to this little horse that I have here. So,
Yeah. I remember NCAA's that year. He said he yelled, "Eat your words" to the media, and we all looked at each other and said, "Who is he saying that towards?" I've said he's like the greatest of all time. What? I couldn't have heaped more praise on Grant Holloway. I needed a shovel. That's how much praise I was throwing towards Grant Holloway. And he yelled, "Eat your words." So we never figured out who he was saying that about. So he doesn't need much to get him going. I just I see those guys, and obviously I see some potential 12-9s there. Allen's already done it. McLeod's done it, et cetera, et cetera. But to go 12-8 high, which is what I think he's going to be able to do. It is weird, though, all these meets with the weather. Because if it's not
yeah.
crazy weather that's canceling it or postponing it, it's these negative 4.5s. It's just been I've talked about it, I feel like on This Week in Track, like 3 separate times. It's just, I keep coming back to the same. I'm trying not to repeat myself, but it's just even the Doha meet. Like, I don't ever remember the Doha meet having crazy winds. It's like it's strong enough winds where it's impacting the competition over and over and over again. And then the rain in Jacksonville stunk too. So, all right. So you're concerned. I'm not as concerned. Let's go.
I'm concerned, but I still believe.
Fair, fair.
My fence
All right.
still.
Let's go to Jamaica.
We're
This
going?
one might have
You got
been.
tickets? You got tickets to Jamaica? We're flying there?
I wish. I'm gonna go to Champs one of these years.
Let's go next year.
Uh, Oblique Seville, 986. This result came out when we were waiting for the meet in Jacksonville to start, and
Damn.
this this run was impressive. He puts daylight between that field on the second half of that race in a very decisive manner. So Seville, just 21 years old, smashes 10 seconds, just absolutely smashes 10 seconds. Wasn't going up against the craziest field of all time. But listen to this, Gordon. Jamaica. Last time someone broke 990, 2016, Usain Bolt. You got to go back another year, 2015, the last time a non-Bolt person uh, ran faster than 990. So, I mean, Bolt didn't even do it in his last season. And then 18, 19, 20, 21, you had a lot of mid 9.9s from Johan Blake. And then some of those years you didn't even have anybody that fast. So, Seville giving Jamaica a glimmer of hope. They didn't have anybody in the 100 final in Tokyo. Nobody. No medalist in Doha 2019. Well, they haven't got a medal at a major championship in the 100 since 17.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Oblique Seville, great name. I mean,
Yeah.
we all time top tier name team, Oblique Seville. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, if we're being real, Jamaica has been a one gender dominance when it comes to sprinting, and that's been the women's side. The men's side, ever since Bolt was gone, has been gone. They have
Yeah.
not been anywhere near relevant, right? They could maybe put together a 4x1 here and there, but at the end of the day, they weren't churning out individuals year after year after year the way like US could. But now that you
Yeah.
have this one guy, Seville 986, that is something that's real. Like that's not a oh, we got a young Jamaican guy who ran 999 and maybe it's him.
Yeah.
To get that jump to 986 is that's a big difference from a sub 10. Uh, so my question, I guess, for you and for me, I'll answer my own question. Where do you
Yeah.
think he stands right now in the world? Like he just ran once. I mean, he runs.
Yeah.
He ran 10 flat last year, or no, he ran 10:04 last year. His time coming into that race was 10 flat. So he's been in the 10 flat, 10:04 range for the past 2 years. This is his big leap, the first time breaking 10, and he runs
Yeah.
986. So it is just one race. It wasn't that windy. It was only like point 0.2 wind. Now that he has this data point to his resume, where do you think you would put him in the hierarchy of sprinting?
So here's my top 10 right now. I just pulled it up. This was updated last week before the Diamond League and the Jacksonville meet and all this stuff. Jacobs 1, Coleman 2, Romel 3, Omanyala, Curley, Bracy, DeGrasse, Azamati, Williams, Ash. That's my top 10. I think I'd put him sixth right now. I think I put him behind Curley and ahead of Bracy because 990, sub 990 is not a joke. I know we want to see it. You talked about this yesterday when we were planning the show. So far, it's just a time. You want to see it in a competition with guys who can run 995, put them under pressure, guys who can run 985, right? Or you want to see it in a Diamond League level competition. But that time again is quick enough to where you'd have to put him ahead of a lot of the guys on the back half of that top 10 just because it's just such a quicker mark. Um, so again, I'd have him behind Omanyala, behind Curly, but then I'd put him in sixth right now.
I would put him in like 8th to 10th right now. I think some of your people in your ranking in your 8, 9, 10 should be up higher because I think you saw the Marvin Bracy and that looks like the good name to put him above. But I think Marvin Bracy shouldn't is ranked higher than he should be, which is causing you to put Seville higher than he should be. But if Bracy wasn't on that 6th spot, I think you would probably look towards that 8, 9, 10 range to place Seville. Um, so I think he's more of like an 8, 9, 10 right now. Again, because like
Okay, but that's
Omanyala
not
was
that's not
kind
that
of
different. That's not
it
that
is a
different.
difference.
Six versus eight isn't that big of a difference. But yes, go ahead.
It's a difference of two.
It is
Dude,
fair,
difference of
but
two
it's
can
it's
mean a lot.
it's not as if
Like
you're
that's a
saying medalist. It's not like you're saying medalist versus non-medalist, right? So
true, true. But I just think that he's in the 8, 9, 10 range for me. We'll move up to the 4, 5, 6 range if he puts together a second strong 100-meter dash, like runs a 9.9 again. Like
Yeah.
if he doesn't run sub 10 before Worlds, I'll be like, all right, that was a flash in the pan. But if he runs another sub 10 like at Jamaica trials, then you're like, all right, he's
I want to see him at
you gotta
pre.
do it
I
twice.
want
You
to.
just gotta do it
I,
twice.
I want to see him at pre. The problem is everybody's already at pre. There's no lanes left at pre. But I would love to see him at pre. Kadeem says he's coached by Glenn Mills, and he also coached dot 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 Usain Bolt, of course. Marlon says, dude never rate any Jamaican. I think he's talking about you there, Gordon. You're not, or
Well,
maybe
okay,
he's
hold
talking about
on.
me.
They don't deserve to be rated up until now's the first time there's been any
Yeah,
reason to consider a Jamaican man to be rated in the 100 or the 200. Like,
that's right. That's right. That's fair.
congratulations, you have finally entered the conversation, but like, you're just in the conversation. You do one more thing, and then you become real. Like, you got to do it twice. You do it once, now we listen. Twice, now we believe. And that's what he's at. He's in between the listening and believing stage. And I think
Did you,
I think he's
did you just
probably going
make
to run
that
well.
up?
I bet at Jamaica trials, or the whatever they call the
Yeah.
national championship, he goes out
Okay.
there and runs another sub 10 and wins. Boom, you're real. So
All right. You have him 8 to 10. I have him sixth. But I think if you're happy if you're a Jamaican sprint fan
yes,
this weekend, you're happy because you at least have somebody in the conversation. Because Blake clearly is not the same guy, and everybody else who came up didn't have that potential.
and it's hard
Because a lot of times it'd
it's
be a
hard to fluke a 9.8. It's hard to fluke a 9.8. But
yeah,
that requires real talent.
yeah, yeah. All right. Also at that meet, Elaine Thompson-Herah ran 10:94, another sub 11 for her. She just ticks these things off. Recovered pretty quickly though. Remember, she had that discomfort in training, so she pulled out of the Birmingham Diamond League meet, and then the next day she ran in Kingston. So we didn't see her in Birmingham, but we did see her in
Was it
Kingston
the
the next
next
day.
day? It was the same day.
Saturday. Oh, Saturday and yeah, you're right. It wasn't Diamond League wasn't on Friday this week. Same day. So a matter of hours, she was able to get it together.
It's
I
almost
saw that. It's almost if the injury wasn't serious enough to keep her out of sprinting. Yeah, I agree. She said it was a shoulder injury, shoulder discomfort. You can relate to that, Gordon. Flying with
yeah.
shoulder pain.
I'm working on that right now, right? With my thing.
Okay.
No, but Elaine Thompson-Herah definitely is laughing in the face of the Diamond League Birmingham meet director and clearly is saying the quiet part out loud. I lied. I'm not hurt. I just didn't want to go to your meet. I didn't want to get on a plane. And I didn't have the heart to tell you that because
Mhm.
I felt bad that I committed to the meet and then I didn't feel like getting onto a plane and getting jet lagged. So I made up an injury. And that's what she did. She made up an injury because if you were injured, you would not run the exact same day. Because you could argue like, oh, I need an extra 24 hours to heal. But if you run the exact same day that you were slated to run and you said you couldn't
Yeah,
run because you were injured,
yeah.
you weren't
You want to
injured.
fly.
You were faking it because you didn't want to get on a plane.
You
Just
don't
be
want to fly.
honest. If you're
Well,
the
maybe
Olympic
maybe
champ,
it's a
just tell them I don't want to do it. Don't make up an injury.
maybe it was a flying related injury though. Got to check a bag. Got to do all sorts of stuff. To navigating through the airport. She didn't want to do all that. I'm with you in the just say it. What's the point? Just scratch. Say I don't want to go. I'd rather run in Kingston. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
and
Yeah, I don't.
also
Why? Why do we have to play the game? Why can't we just say what's going on?
maybe she was able to still get some like appearance fee money because she had to pull out for injury and not for
Yeah.
non-injury reasons.
Well, and if it was anybody else, you'd probably be up here saying, "Oh, ducking the competition." But it's Elaine Thompson-Herah. She's going to beat whoever she ran against. It didn't matter. You could have had the Olympic final lined up in Birmingham against her, and she would have been fine. Like she would have won that 100. I think it's fair to say. So it's more
How
just
do
a
you
matter of
what?
go
More just
ahead.
a matter of what? Sorry, no. Continue.
Oh, it's just a matter of her. Where do I want to run my 10-9? Do I want to run my 10-9 in Jamaica or do I want to run my 10-9 in England? Okay, I'll do it in Jamaica. That's all it was about. I don't think it's that
Then why does she
complicated.
commit to running the race in the first place?
That's what I don't get. And listen, I'm not maybe she did have shoulder just maybe there was a pain in her shoulder and she did not want to fly, but clearly it was not preventing her from sprinting because not only did she sprint, she sprinted very well. You
Yeah.
can see from the video. There was not an issue there with her sprinting.
How do you think?
Yeah, if
How do you think the meet
the only
director
person
at?
who's they're pissed. They're pissed.
Yeah,
They're the only person who's pissed here, right? Like we don't ultimately care that much because we still got to see her run, and it wasn't as if it was her versus Fraser Price that we missed. She's fine, and her coach is fine because they got to see her test her fitness. Probably they're happier because they didn't have to have her travel and change time zones. The only people that are mad are actually are the Birmingham people mad? Because Dean Asher Smith got to win a home win.
yeah.
They got that. Maybe they're not that mad.
What
Maybe
about
this was the most popular scratch of all time. 100% approval rating on this scratch.
what about the people who say it's bad for the sport? She would rather run on a non-televised,
Yeah.
empty
Okay. They lost.
stadium
Yeah.
race as opposed to on TV. And be
Sure.
like,
Then maybe those are the people who lost. But everybody else, I think, comes away with a win here. Transparency loses. Maybe that's it.
yeah.
I mean, the
I
quote
mean,
is, "We all face challenges, and I am not 100% fit, and I think it was the best decision not to travel." It's like, is it? That's two different things. That's one, not wanting to travel, and two, being 100% fit. Clearly, she's 100% fit. You don't sprint like that. You're not 100%.
she is just trying to cover up a lie. That's all she's trying to do. Like I'm challenges, not
Yeah.
100%. Best decision. It's all bullshit. She just didn't want to go, and she doesn't have the heart to be like blunt, be like, "Hey, I'm Elaine Thompson-Herah. I do what I want, and I also will go back on promises I kept," because that's what she was doing. She made a promise, aka she told them I was coming months
Yeah.
out, and then she's like, "I changed my mind."
Which is
You know,
fine, by the way. Which is fine. Why? I mean, she shouldn't be held to any other a different standard than everybody
It's
else, right?
fine, but at the same time, it's kind of a little. I mean, Felix did this to Penn Relays. Like, if you know you don't want to get on the plane, tell them earlier than later. Don't wait to the last moment to be like, "Oh, by the way, I'm not coming." You know, like it's kind of little. It's a little messed up to kind of wait to the last minute to say I'm not coming. Like you should give. You know, it's like that friend who texts you like 5 minutes before you're about to go out. "Oh, I'm staying
Yeah.
in," and you're like, "Wait, what the hell, man? We had plans." Nah, man. I haven't. I got to do things tomorrow. It's like, come on. It's like that mentality. Like,
Well,
then don't say you want to
I'm
go
just
out.
saying. Yeah, I'm just saying. Just say you can't do it. You don't need to wait until. And then I know people will say, "Oh, well, she never said she wasn't going to run on Saturday," but the implication from the release that they put out from Birmingham when she had a discomfort in training, you interpret that as, "All right, you're not going to run at all."
Yeah.
Right? That's not a crazy assumption to make that not only are you going to be fine your next race out, your next race is going to be literally the exact same day. All right, let's move on. You want to talk about these high schoolers running fast?
Yeah. In the 800 of all events. Uh, Cade Flat, future Ole Miss Rebel. Makes sense. He has a great Ole Miss name in Cade Flat. It's classic Ole Miss. Runs 146.51, just little bit short of the national record in the high school realm for the 800. He finished fourth. Best got won the race, but obviously everyone was just thinking about what Flat can do. Cade Flat winning 146.51. Pretty impressive. Qualifies himself for USA's. Does he have a fighting chance to maybe make the team? I mean, right now, Hoppel ran pretty well at Diamond League. Obviously, Murphy, he didn't run well, but he had a good race beforehand. After Hoppel and Murphy, you kind of just think there's just an opening, right, for that third spot. because Donovan
Yeah,
is irrelevant whether or not he's there or not because he has a bye. So could we see
yeah.
magic happen and Kate Flat runs 145 and it's good enough for third? Maybe.
Well,
And then Juliet Whitaker, 159 on the women's side, number 2 all time. Sophia Guerrerian also ran 2 flat in that same race. But yeah, these two high schoolers, Whitaker and Flat, just like destroying the 800 records.
yeah, and a
Not
lot
even
of
destroying
attention
it or
goes,
coming close to them.
yeah, moving way up the record books. A lot of attention gets paid to the mile because anytime someone breaks 4 of the mile, but now you can break 4 in the mile and be not even in the top 10 all time. Like these are number 2 all time performances, so these stand up much stronger historically. I think Whitaker's got a better chance to be an outside chance at making the team. As rough as the men's 800 and just bizarre as the men's 800's been this year, I'd like to think that it's 3 guys would be able to still finish ahead of that mark. But I don't know, man. With every week passing, and whether it's college or professional, like that 800 gets stranger. And I think 159 on the women's side of things puts you in the mix. Definitely puts you in the mix. So I think Whitaker could be there and Guerrerian right there. It's just we've been seeing this coming for a couple of years if you've been paying attention to that event, just how strong those two women are. And it's cool to see it happening at the same time.
The one big caveat, obviously, though, with the 800 is you got to run 3 of them. And these high school kids running 3 800s a lot of times is not what they're built for. I mean, you look at someone like a Thing Mo, who the first time she does the 3 rounds of 800s, she kind of wasn't her best self in the final round, right? But a year later or 2 years later, she all of a sudden is the greatest in the world. So these kids might need a one U.S. championship of learning how to run 3 800s in 3 days.
Mhm.
Was it 3 days? No, one, two. Is it 3 800s in 4 days
Four.
to prepare? So,
Yeah. All right. What's next? Oh, is it kick of the week time?
dude, let's get right to it.
Kick of the week, Gordon. And for this edition, we're going to the high school side of things. We're going to the North Carolina State Championships, where Shanti Jackson,
Is it North
might have
Carolina
heard
or
of her.
South Carolina?
It is North Carolina. You might have
Okay.
heard of her. People really started talking about Shanti Jackson. Indoor season, broke the high school record in the 60. Turns out she's really good in the 400 here, Gordon. She got the baton
Oh.
in Chapel Hill, in Durham, maybe in Raleigh. She was way back. And then look at this come from behind win. She gets her 4th title of the meet, the 1, the 2, and then the 4x4. Splits 52 seconds and just, I mean, wins by a huge margin. Huge deficit turns into a huge victory.
I feel for the female runner who just got walked down because it was like a 25-meter lead when she got the stick. It was look at this backstretch. It's still like 20 meters with like 250 to go. Still there, still 20 meters with 200 to go.
Yeah.
But in the final 200, when you're part of a family that is all-time great in running one lap around the track, you
Mhm.
think it's going to be hard to overcome that talent coming behind you. She even got him swung wide a little bit into lane 2 to let Jackson pass on the inside.
I
She knew
I know
what
she
was
didn't need any
happening.
more help. She didn't need any more help. She's just like, listen, I have a high school record holder behind me. I know what's gonna happen. Let's just let it happen. No shame in that.
Yeah,
Absolutely no
no shame.
shame in getting kicked down by someone as good as Shanti Jackson, which is why I say some of the best 4x4s come from high school meets because you just have a huge gap in talent because you're going to have an Olympic medalist on one side, and then on the other side, you're going to have somebody who's a really good high school runner, but they have a challenging time. So big meet for Shanti Jackson and this week's kick of the week. Remember, if you want to submit one, email the show, FloTrack Podcast at gmail.com. Subject line kick of the week. What are we looking for to kick of the week, Gordon? Can you explain to folks what makes a good kick of the week? You've been doing this for like a decade.
Well, I love it when they don't take the lead until the final like 1 meter. That's always the best. When the kick of the
Yeah.
week ends with a photo finish. Uh, I love it when people fall and find a way to recover to get back. But basically, the bigger the gap, the more exciting it is, right? And
Hmm.
the shorter um, the race too, right? When you're coming back in the final 200 meters of an 800, it's pretty exciting. So anyway,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, people know what a kick is. You're kicking. Come on, it's
People know what a kick is. You're kicking.
basic track and field. Except for the guy who doesn't know what a rabbit is, who commented on the podcast last week.
That's why I'm saying we can't assume. We can't assume. We got new people tuning in
That's
every day,
true.
which is great. We appreciate it. So if you're at a club meet or something, and there's a sweet. You don't need to be a pro. Like
No,
I don't expect that. Yeah. Like
I just want to see
let's
people get
open this.
walked down.
Yeah, let's open this up to the entire world here. Maybe there's a practice meet that you went to, or there's gonna be an all comers meet coming up in June, and you're gonna sit on your coworker's shoulder the entire time and absolutely destroy them in the last 100. I want to see that. We might feature that one. It's the best kick we got that week. Okay, let's. I want to go to the chat here real quick, Gordon. Chat is lively today. Chat is
Yeah,
lively today. Think it has something to do with the fact of the topics that we had, both
they get
Richardson
one
and
Jamaican, and then all of a sudden, it's like they're back.
I love it. I love it. Let's see what we got here. Did they talk about Oblique Seville? Yes, we talked about Oblique Seville. Um, here's one from Xavier. The more Elaine is criticized, the better she will perform. Hashtag world best. I don't think either of her
Hashtag
saying
world
she's not
best.
good. I don't think anybody's saying she's not good.
No,
I think,
she's a what's the word?
here's another
She's
one,
a flake. She flaked out on a meat.
which
Yeah,
describes most of track and field. Okay.
yeah.
Spectators can't do half of what Elaine is doing, so they can stay on the sideline and hate like Mr. Grinch. Mr. Grinch. John says
Spectators can't
people
do
need
half. You know what
money.
I can do? When I book a ticket to Birmingham, I go to it and I don't stay home. I get on the plane. So actually, I can do things that she cannot, which is get on a plane. The
Um,
sprinting stuff, I'm not that good at.
John says
Other
people
than
need
that,
money and England's not paying. Danny says when you are great, people will hate. Enough said. Enough love. Let's see what else. Elaine never had a successful world champ. She made the wise decision. That's actually a good point. That's actually a good point about the world champs. I mean, she hasn't had a gold at world champs. She's run well at world champs, but the abundance of caution around it.
but no,
Uh,
hold on. If you're telling me flying to Birmingham on May 18th or 19th is
no,
going to
no, I'm just saying
affect
the
her medal position in a July meet in Eugene, Oregon? No.
yeah. No, I'm saying the fact that she hasn't done well at world championships is a good point.
Well,
People
that's a
forget
fact,
that.
but like, there's no caution
Yeah,
being
that's all
taken
fair.
here. If she was actually cautious, she wouldn't have ran,
Yeah.
but she ran.
All
Clearly,
caps from Rico. Stop dissing Elaine and Oblique Seville. Please stop it. No one dissed Oblique Seville. How is it dissing? Oh, it's like someone runs fast and everybody thinks that no one else is ever going to run fast. I said it was an amazing performance. I said Jamaica has a legit contender for the first time in a long time. I have him sixth right now, which is
in
pretty damn
the
good.
entire world, there's like how many
Yeah,
people in this world? A billion? It's
yeah.
pretty good.
It's like people complaining that Joel Embiid didn't win the
1
MVP. It's
billion
like it's okay.
people, just 1 billion.
It's it's okay. Yeah, there's a fact check on that one, Cole. It's okay to not be number one. There's a lot of people
Uh,
running the 100 out there. Anyway, someone said you sound bitter.
Bitter. I don't. I love the guy's a great name. And I'm excited. I'm just thinking he's 8 through 10 now. He runs sub 10 at his championships, which I think he will. Then he'll be 4 to 6. I think that's how it works. You can't be 4 to 6 until you do it twice. Just gotta do it
Mhm.
twice. Everyone else on that list has done it twice. Omanyala, the Kenyan kid, he was kind of like all right, you did it once. But now that he's done it multiple times, including beating
Yeah,
someone like Fred Curley, you're like, oh shit, he's not just a one race wonder. He's showing consistency, and that's what it takes. You gotta do it twice. So do it twice, and then come back and listen to the pod.
yeah. All right, we're getting comments on the comments now. Joel says, "How is she a flake?" She said, "Why she didn't show up? Did you not see her interview?" She said she injured her right rotator cuff muscles. Don't be a hater.
If you injured your right rotator cuff muscles, then why are you running a 100-meter dash on that day? She did like a 3-point start instead of a 2-point, like a
You should
NFL player.
see what you should do here is be like as a shoulder injury expert, as
Yes,
someone who crashed my bike. How many weeks ago is it now?
it's been like 6 weeks, 6 to 7.
And also, here's another thing. Just because you don't have to defend every. If you're a fan of an athlete or country, that's great. You don't need to defend every single decision they make. You can be like, you know what, made a mistake here,
Yeah,
or should have said, hey, I just don't want to run this meet. You don't have to defend every single decision that they make. Because the one thing I'm not doing, and I'm pretty sure you're not doing, we're not taking away from her ability. We're not saying she's no longer the favorite in the 100.
like imagine if I did this, Kevin.
Imagine if you
So
didn't
I'm
show up on Saturday to do a podcast. Like,
yeah,
imagine if you told me you were going to come on Saturday morning to a pod and then you didn't come. I'd be like, Gordon,
no.
still a good podcaster, not
Uh-oh.
reliable.
Uh-oh.
Imagine if I didn't come to the podcast on Saturday, and then instead I did a podcast with someone else at the same time.
Ooh.
Then you would be like, "What the hell, Gordon? You said you would come to this podcast, and then you did another podcast." You know, that's why
Yeah.
Elaine Thompson-Herah should have just not run, and then no one would have known. She let the cat out of the bag.
I like that she ran, for the record. I appreciate that she ran.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. It's great to
Does,
see running, so I'm not going to be upset about it.
does Kevin still have Richardson ranked above Dina? No, because the women's top 10, I need to update it. Thompson Raw, Fraser Price, Jackson, Kambunji, Daniels, Terry Brown, Michelle Liai, Gabby Thomas, and Julian Alfred. That was before Asher Smith won in Birmingham. So Asher Smith's probably going to make her way in there. Although it's hard. Like once you get out of that top tier, because you have all these collegians running crazy fast times, and it's hard to compare that to pros opening up. Once we get the regular Diamond League rotation going and you see the same people, then obviously anybody can do it. But right now it's kind of hard. Like how do you match up an 11-1 in Birmingham versus a 10-8 at a conference meet? It's tough. All right, I'm starting to realize we go back and forth and never get a resolution on the shoulder situation. So we're gonna move on
Wait, what do you?
because
Oh,
now we have.
I thought
It's
you
just
were talking about my
it's just
shoulder because I've been massaging both sides with my thing.
no.
Rose was watching.
Well, I'm just saying it's just going because now Joel's responding again. See, this is why we need live callers to the show. This is why we need to get the hotline open because Joel says again, Elaine owes you no explanation. She said her shoulder was feeling better. However, she stayed home out of abundance of caution because she said when she sits on a long flight, it will cause discomfort.
Man, are you like the PR representative? Are you on the Lane Thompson-Herah payroll? Come in and AstroTurf the comment section of the FloTrack podcast to be like, "Yo, don't criticize
Hey,
my
hey,
girl
hey! Hold on!
ETH."
Don't criticize the commenters, Gordon.
Well, no, if the commentator can
Right.
criticize me, I can criticize back.
Well,
In addition, you can take it too.
but no, we want to encourage comments. We don't want to discourage comments.
Yeah, and and they'll be encouraged because I'll respond in my way. So keep
It's just
talking, and I'll keep responding. It's great.
it's just gonna keep
We're having a
going.
conversation.
Is it all love? Would it be fair to say, Gordon?
Sure, you call it love. I mean, I have no skin in the game. I just think it's kind of guys. Let's just be real. The greatest runner right now in the 100-meter dash was supposed to go to a worldwide televised meet. Told them I was coming weeks out, and then right before it started was like, "Oh, I can't go. I'm hurt." And then literally runs that exact same day in Jamaica and runs well.
Dude,
That is news, and that is something you should call out because why the hell did you say you were going to go? Why the hell did you say you were hurt? And then why the hell did you run if you were hurt? And you clearly weren't because you ran fast. You know, if anyone else were to do this, like we would talk about it.
but no, I think if anyone were to do it, we wouldn't care because it'd be like, hey, the ninth best person in the world didn't come, and then it wouldn't have even caused a
Well, it's like
story.
an athlete on another, like, I mean, it's like if
Hold on. I'm loving these comments. I know I said I was going to go away from the comments. I'm just getting addicted to the comments. Joel says, yes, I am, referring to whether or not he's on the payroll. He says, do you want to be on our hater payroll? And then he
I'll be
said,
on the
"It's all
handicap
good,
one.
bro. It's all good, bro." Crying face emoji. Crying face emoji.
Imagine if like Tom Brady got caught playing flag football
All
on the
right, let's move
Sunday
on.
night when he didn't play the Sunday at 1 p.m. game. You'd be like, wait a minute, I thought you were hurt.
All right, let's move on. Hold on, Colt. Did you want to say something?
I was just
Go
excited
on.
that the hypothetical had gotten to that point. I was
Yeah.
just
You need Colt. You need like a hypothetical meter where you just
yeah, like
eventually
a
cut Corey
temperature
off.
gauge.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly. It's
mean,
like all Corey's
this did
gone too far.
happen when Jahlil Okafor was hurt for
Mm,
the Sixers, and he got caught playing going bowling, and I think he hurt himself bowling, and everyone got mad because he's like, "Yo, man, you can't play basketball, you can't play bowling.
play bowling.
Yeah, you can't play
Can't
bowling."
roll.
I got in an argument last night with some friends about what a sport is, and we were trying to list
Okay,
off sports.
let's not do that.
And some guy was saying like he doesn't think golf is a sport. I was like, golf is a sport. Like, and they're like, is bowling a sport? And I said, yeah, bowling's a sport. And I said, sports is competition that requires athletic ability. And someone in the circle was
Uh-oh.
like, track and field is not a sport. And I went, ooh,
Wait.
I went off.
Were you the only track person in there?
I was the only track person.
Did they do that on purpose because they knew you were a track person?
I don't know. Well, only one person there knew that I work at FloTrack, but the other like five guys there did not. And there was one of the other five guys said, "Yeah, running, track and field. What is that? That's not a sport." And I was like, "F that, man.
Wow.
It's the original sport."
See,
I defended our honor.
now
I defended our honor.
good. Now you're on the same side as all the commenters. See,
Yeah,
he's not all bad, folks. He defended. I got in an argument with my neighbor a couple months back about esports. I think you can
that came
imagine
up
which
too.
side of the argument. Yeah, I think you can imagine what side of the argument I took. That one.
Well, there is a physical element with the thumbs. The hand-eye coordination of thumbs and
No,
fingers, like that requires
he was
skill.
it didn't even bother me. I wasn't even going to engage the argument until he was talking about the reason it was a sport is all of them had personal trainers. And I was just like, that doesn't matter. Like, what is that? A lot of people have personal trainers. Doesn't mean they're in shape or they're athletic. And then he's like, a lot of them are like better runners than you are. And I'm like, all right, well, they might be now at this stage of my running career, but like they're not like good. Like they're not running enough. They're just staying in shape so they can stay awake and play a bunch of video games. I don't know. He went at it from a really weird spot. So that's more what bothered me. But I remember arguing about like stuff like this in middle school with friends too. So I'm kind of past it. All right, let's move on.
Final
Ready to
segment.
roll?
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Chat is just going crazy. A lot of paragraph responses in the chat. I think we have the longest responses on YouTube because
Yeah.
we got an engaged audience. We got a smart audience that knows the sport. They're not just writing like dumb and then
Lame.
yeah. There's like three sentences here.
Unsubscribe.
Do you want to
Unfollow.
do? Do you want to do this weekend or not this weekend track? If this was track, do you want to do it this week or do you want me to do it again?
You got it. You're the host. You've always been the host.
Well, I don't know about that.
You did the whole
Okay.
podcast without me on Saturday. So you're the host.
Let's let's talk about uh English Premier League. Final was this weekend. Manchester City wins, but a lot of the drama with English Premier League, right, is relegation. Who goes down, right? Which teams finish low enough to where they're relegated to the lower leagues? That's for an American sports fan. That's like a interesting wrinkle and something that we don't have in our U.S. leagues. And people have talked about this in regards to professional sports. People have even heard. I've heard people talk about it in regards to collegiate sports. Like if we ever have the situation where the top 16 or 32 colleges break football programs break away and create some sort of super conference, would you have a promotion relegation system where teams go up and teams go down? But it's pretty exciting, right? You saw uh like Burnley gets relegated, very tight, interesting games. Just the whole idea that like you need to stay up there. Um or you need to your spot is not assured basically, right? There's no guarantee that you're going to stay in the top league. You can't just cruise forever. But I was thinking about a time in terms of collegiate track, right? There was a time when smaller division athletes could compete against D1 just because the schedules aligned. And I know we've talked about this in the past with cross country, but there was a time when those champions could come and try their hand against D1 athletes in sort of a promotion type thing. Now, I know it's not the same thing because you could be a D2 athlete who could have had D1 offers, but for whatever reason, you just decided to go to a D2 school, right? Same thing with Division 3, same thing with junior college. But if we had a promotion system this year and we had the ability to move people up from small division into Division 1, what matchups would you be interested in seeing?
Uh, First, Azamati from West Texas A&M. He's run 9.9. Excited to see what he does. He could challenge the Bowlings, the Williams, the Favor Ashes of this world to potentially win. I think he could win the NCAA D1 title. I think Trevor
Mhm.
Bassett of Ashland, I think he could win the 400-meter hurdle title. And then Christian Noble, who just went pro, but I think if
Yeah.
Noble was in the 1500, I think he would challenge Romo and Kip Sang and the other rest of the top 1500-meter guys. I think you could have those three D2 runners could all win a D1 championship this year.
Mm.
And they can move up.
And
And
that
then
seems well, that seems higher
Velazquez
than
go
normal.
D2 next. Yeah, I mean, it is not higher. Normally, there might be one, but three. And I'm sure there's probably someone else out there in like a field event or something. There was a JUCO athlete, actually, speaking of field event, who ran very well. You see this? The JUCO championships. We should have talked about this. But Keyshawn Black, he
Mhm.
ran 10:02 from Meridian.
Legal?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
Oh, maybe not. I don't know. I don't see the wind. But 10:02 is pretty. Second place was 10:03. Gerard Elcock of Butler. So, but yeah. So maybe
Isn't
Keyshawn Black is a guy to look out for. He runs 10:02. It's pretty damn good.
isn't relegation kind of already like slowly happening with conference realignment? I mean, it's not really the same, but I don't know. Like the
Yeah.
SEC is adding more schools. That's not a different division, but it's definitely higher competition than like, I don't know, Mountain West. You see that as like kind of pushing towards it?
Yeah, it's sort of you're right. It's happening begrudgingly, or not begrudgingly, but it's happening just as a process of schools trying to scoop up bigger schools to make more money. Um, and because in college football, all the programs aren't created equal, right? If you're in one of those Power Five conferences, you have a much better chance of getting to a better bowl game and making the college football playoff than you would in one of those smaller schools. Um,
Do you know
and
how
then the rich just
regulation could be
get
done?
richer.
Do you know how regulation could be done perfectly in in track and field world?
Hmm.
You ready for the ultimate solution? You do it at the professional level. You have the Diamond League. Everyone, the top 8 runners all go to the Diamond League. They go to everyone. Like it's in their contract that if you want to win a global medal, you have to compete in every Diamond League that's available, provided you're injured. You have to compete. They
Yeah.
run a race with 8 people. The top 6 get to run in the next race. The bottom 2 get it knocked out, and then the next 2
Yeah. Yeah. Move
top
up.
times in the world get to get those
Yeah.
other 2 spots to try to earn in. And it's constantly, if you finish 7th or 8th in any of your Diamond League races, you're not allowed back into the Diamond League until you run well again. And so it's a way to just like, can you stay on the circuit? Like, can you keep on finishing top 6 to ensure that you get to go to all the Diamond Leagues? I think that would be kind of cool.
It definitely would give you something to watch every week. The trouble would be in that first step, getting everybody to commit to an entire Diamond League circuit. But
Well,
yeah,
you
that
make the
would be
incentive. If you don't do this, you're not going to become a world champion. That's the
no
incentive.
worlds. Yeah,
Yeah.
no worlds. Um,
That'd be fun, man. Imagine pre in that field. You'd be like, holy crap. 7th,
someone's
8th.
gonna get right.
Is
Yeah,
it going to be allowed to come to the Diamond League again? Who's it going to be?
I-
You know?
yeah. Well, and then it would make the lower meets, quote unquote, would be awesome to watch too, because like, hey, they want to get out of there.
Yeah.
They want to get called back up, and then you'd have good people in those meets, and then maybe there'd be an upset, someone who gets a favorite who gets relegated, but then gets beat again, does finishes fourth or something, and someone else gets to go up into the big time 100. The problem is, it's like in some respects, it's too easy to get into a diamond league because not all
Yeah.
diamond league events are created equal, and then they'll give a lane to a athlete from that nation, which I get because they're trying to sell tickets, but that's not something you would do if it was just like the whole goal, which is like this is supposed to reflect the top 8 people in the world right now, or the highest, whatever. If it's a distance race, the top 12 or top 15. David says, "Can you imagine this podcast if the Sixers got relegated out of the NBA?" Well, I'd be happy.
Hey, man. Hit me while I'm down. Why don't you? Hit me while I'm down. I'm I have disowned the NBA, the National Basketball Association, for at least 4 months. I'll be back in. I'll be back. Wait till July 1st. I'll be back going when free agency starts. I'll be believing again, being ready to get hurt.
Trade rumors. Gordon will be
Trade
all
rumors.
about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there. We're gonna try to record. Gordon, can you do noon on, uh, or 12:30 on Wednesday? I have to do it
Yeah.
later.
We can talk about it after the pod.
Well, I want to tell people that there's not gonna be a morning live pod
Okay.
on Wednesday.
So, but we'll still have one on Wednesday and then one Friday morning, right?
Yeah, Friday should be live, and then Saturday I'll do one live after pre. You won't be there for that one. That's pre-scheduled, but you won't be there for that one. But should have plenty to talk about post pre, and I expect everyone who's in this chat to show up there as well too. Um, Again, the email address FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. If you want to do guess my PR, kick of the week, internet coach, write in. We sure do appreciate it. Thanks to Travis. Thanks to Colt. Thanks to everybody for tuning in live and catching the show when it posts either on YouTube, on the site, or wherever you get your audio podcasts. We'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good one.